Hey, look at us here on time. Dr. Kennard here with Dr. Tom Foolery, Kennardology Assistant Professor. I was just going to say we should all push him, help him, help him, assist him in getting full tenure, become a full tenured professor here on the show
Yeah.
at the very least. Um,
Studying in the
I
Canard is hard.
yeah. It's a very competitive field, Kennardology, Dr. Tom Foolery. It's very competitive.
Hmm.
Hey, Simply Secular Dave, how you doing this morning? Oh, Jesse Bear and Scott Duke. Well, it's raining out this morning here, as I mentioned, and so I think I'm gonna spend some time inside the the room here, and actually get some work done. I didn't even do a post yesterday on the blog, and I've
Yeah,
been, yeah,
one of the best ways to spend a vacation. In,
inside.
inside your hotel room doing work.
Exactly. The only thing that would make this even more awesome would be if it was like a blizzard outside, so I could drink and watch YouTube videos and say I'm writing and write occasionally.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I have the. I mean, if everything goes well, then I'm supposed to start the onboarding process next week, which is a 9 to 5 gig, and I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do a bunch of small videos, quick videos of news stories, and just plot them, drop them down like breadcrumbs during the day, as against to getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just running a show. I think that would be crazy. I think that might be crazy, but I might do that anyway. I don't know. I don't know a lot right now, which might be surprising to all of you. It's
Well,
like I'm just doing this by the seat of my pants. What do you think, Dr. Tom Foolery?
you doing something crazy is not out of the realm of possibility.
This is true. This is true. Welcome to the Meow Mix, also known as the After Show After Party. I do like Meow Mix. It might be a copyright infringement somewhere there, John Hudson. I'm not sure. If I was going to brand it as Meow Mix, but I do like it. I like it a lot.
Hmm.
But big cat food would eventually shut us down, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did we do yesterday? We took a tour of the state capitol, the building, which was nice. It was just self-directed. Um, and because it was a Monday, Tuesday, today's Wednesday. Yesterday was Tuesday. There's no one around, hardly any people around, so
Hmm.
it was pretty cool. And I actually went. You might ask me, how did bike riding go? Since I was already pretty hungover from the day before, um, horribly for me. I didn't want to tell my girlfriend how bad I was feeling while I was bike riding because I was trying to, you know, um, I was in the grips of that toxic masculinity. That I'm not gonna do because the biking, it created this feeling in my digestive tract like things wanted to escape, things wanted to be liberated from my
That
mouth,
that's a
and
fun one.
it yeah. And I told her, there's a big difference between 53 and 33. When I was 33, I got similarly trashed, if not more. And then I did a spinning class the next morning, and I was like, fine, you know. But yeah, yesterday there's a big difference in 20 years in how this body
Hmm.
deals with.
So how did
Well,
the? Hmm?
so I just want to talk to Scott Duke here. Wait, you mean the wonderful daily? Just well, at least for the next 2 weeks, I got to do something different. And even after the 2 weeks, I want to be very straightforward. I'm quite straightforward about this. If I have this job, which is still now up in the air since I have to talk to my HR person, right? So I don't even know. AstraZeneca. Good morning, Stanley. So if I still have my job that I still haven't officially started yet, then I'm going to have to switch the times around to make it later in the morning because I'm not going to get out of work until 8 a.m. And that means I'd have to push the time up for the show, um, up by a couple of hours. So yeah, it's so the next Sammy, you seem animated this morning, sir.
I I feel like shit, Andy.
You feel like shit. Why?
Have
What's going on?
uh, I did have my first shot today.
Oh yeah,
Um, I felt good all day, but it's I've been told that it's the next day is pretty bad.
yeah,
If you're gonna get the symptoms, they
yes,
were telling me, expect to have headaches and nausea,
yeah.
um, and I felt great all day, quite pumped. But now I am starting to get that niggling that something's coming,
Maybe it's just the
headache.
show. Maybe it was just the show saying that's doing it to you.
Could have been.
It could be. So Kendra, yeah, I mean, I'm still going to be running a show after 2 weeks, like solid show. It's just I'm going to have to shift the time schedule around, and during this 2 week period, which it's it's a pain that I have to go into a that I actually have to go into an office in an enclosed area with other people to do a training that could easily be done on Zoom. That I've been doing this kind of work for 25 years, and I have to go through the basics just because they want me to get indoctrinated into their company culture, which is just basically taking care of people. Yeah, this is what makes me a great employee, everyone, by the way. This right here, this kind of attitude. I
Yeah.
do the job well. I do the job well. It's just when things don't make sense, I say words. I say words.
The problem is, Andy, you need to be in management. Still
Oh,
in the disability industry, but in management.
and then having done management, let me tell you, making up schedules and hiring people and firing people, um, it's actually um, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
a nightmare of a job, but only the assholes do it. We need more people like you.
yes,
You've sort of progressed to the point where, yes, you do the job as good or better than anyone else. Now you
yeah,
need to pass that knowledge on.
right, yeah, yeah, or 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 the blog starts making serious money, and I can just do this all the time because I
That
don't.
would be
I,
that would be
there's,
ideal.
there's no expectation for me to make any serious money on YouTube. The blog's been the thing that's been bringing in money. Um, Sometimes okay money too. Uh, it's been a good month. Um,
Having said that, I I think I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone, especially not Dave, but I think you'll find a lot of your small ragtag following on YouTube um, desperately need a shot of Andy every day. Like it's an
yeah,
addiction. And I think
uh,
we would be very lost if you ever went away.
I will tell you this:
So
I've become I wouldn't say addicted, but I've become to appreciate this platform. I've become I really like blogging. Don't get me wrong, but there I'm totally anonymous, more or less. And here it's far more personal, of course, right? Because it's face to face communication with people. And so, yeah, I definitely, now that I've been doing it seriously for over a year, I'm definitely not leaving. Yeah, yeah. What's up, Simply Secular Dave?
g'day, Dave.
The ceiling, the sky, the clouds, a little bit of rain. It's all good.
I think the lower Lake Mead gets, Dave, is more danger Canada is in. Is this? Am I wrong on that?
Lake Mead is so screwed. You guys had the opportunity to fix that in like 1986, right? When the whole EPA thing came out and they said everything in here is dying and the water level's gone down by 21 feet and the water temperature went up and there's no more frogs and it's toxic. You can't swim in it and the saline level has skyrocketed. Maybe you guys should stop sucking the water out of here.
You know,
And get free healthcare while you're at it.
Want to buy some water?
The Commonwealth countries are ganging up on poor America again.
No, it's a bad situation. I mean, all joking aside, it is a man-made catastrophe. Yeah,
Totally.
and it's the worst part about it is, A, it was preventable.
Yeah.
B, it was correctable.
Yeah.
C, it's still correctable. And D, there is nothing going on to correct it.
Yeah. And if the smart money is on stupid, to tell you the truth, right? Because the smart money is always on stupid. So even though they're starting to get towards crisis level, it isn't really going to
See, that's part of the problem, right? Starting to get towards crisis level. At what point, when everything in Lake Mead is dead,
Yes.
and the water line is half what it used to be, what do you consider crisis level?
Politically speaking, within a political context, it won't be until people in that area are told that they can't use water or their water bills start hiking up really, really high.
Do you not understand that right now, on the leeward side of Lake Mead, where the wind blows off the water, people are daily given an air quality warning, and it hasn't stopped in 7 years.
Well,
I
about
suppose
this.
the air quality warning isn't that, hey, this is really great water, and this is like the warning isn't great. Sammy, I hope you brought enough for us. Sammy, I hear all the chips, the crisps, whatever you're doing.
I'm
these sticks.
rolling tobacco, and if you want some, I'll share. Think about this. So they tried to warn about it when it had dropped 20 feet.
Yeah.
That lady said it's now 180 feet dropped. And the whole thing just makes me, it's like a smaller, analogous version of global warming.
Yeah.
Well, between
when Dave was saying, so it could have been prevented, could have been corrected, still can be corrected. It's just.
But if you look at what's going on with the water in Flint, Michigan, and the water in Lake Mead, like, you understand at that point that your tax dollars are not going to help people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is. Yeah, indeed. I think you're spot on with that, Dave. You're spot on. Once again, it won't become. People will not publicly consider it to be a crisis until their water bills start going up, until voters in Arizona, in Colorado.
The people at Lake Mead, most of the people have left. Like, they literally abandoned their homes. They said to their neighbors, "Hey, take whatever you need out of our house. We ain't coming back."
That's going to be more the rule than the exception. I mean, when you talk about the economic impact of climate change, there's so many manifestations of that, and this is just one of them. People abandoning their homes, ghost towns.
Now, hang on a second. Lake Mead is not a climate change issue.
No, it's too many pigs at the tip issue.
Even if climate change had never happened, Lake Mead and Flint, Michigan would still be the catastrophes that they are, right? Mm-hmm. They are man-made catastrophes. They have nothing to do with the environmental impact of global warming or global climate change.
Yeah, that's also a man-made catastrophe, though.
Man-aided.
Aided.
I would say, yeah, human-driven for sure. Yeah. I don't think one is an analog for the other, because I think, like, the moment you stop dumping crud into the river above Flint, Michigan, and you restore some of the water treatment facilities and bring stuff up to speed, that problem is gone. It's a problem you can throw a big bag of money at and it'll go away. With
See,
Lake,
I didn't mean the event or the catastrophe itself as such as our reaction to
Oh,
it.
sure. Yeah.
We just never react until it's in our backyard,
Yeah, I don't think the droughts
and
help.
it's too late by then, you know.
I mean, the too many piglets at the tit metaphor does work, but if you have a drought, because let's face it, the Southwest is just going to get drier. There's just going to be less rainfall, and in all the tributaries feeding into the Colorado River, they're just going to get less rainfall too. So, though the salient issue might be too many people, sucking off of the Colorado River. It cannot. It has to be exacerbated by the fact that there's less rainfall too.
It absolutely
said
is.
sucking off.
But what you have to remember in the case of Lake Mead is when you have a very good wet season, all of that extra water that goes into the dam goes into agriculture. It
Yes.
doesn't go into Lake Mead.
This is true. I mean, it'll be interesting to see politically speaking what happens too, because the first level, what is it? It's the people who are doing agriculture. It's the factory. It's the farms. They're gonna get it first.
Well, what happens when it gets to the point where it dries completely up? It's completely toxic. No one can live there, and it starts spreading. And the area that's used in California for agriculture disappears, and all of a sudden you have a looming food crisis, where, as far as that inland across America where you used to grow food, you no longer can, because food needs to be supported by rain, because people want to wash their ass in a bidet instead of planting crops, right?
I think the answer is one word, and we all know what that word is. The solution to the water issue, to the grain issue, and that is Canada.
Hey, no, I think it's population control.
No, the grain belt. We know that the grain belt's been moving up to Canada for quite a while.
It has. It definitely has. We've been, we have we have the most ridiculous wine country that rivals Napa Valley now because of global warming.
You're making a good case, Dave, for Operation Water Grab.
Yeah. Well, honestly, there's three major rivers, and that come down between the Great Lakes and between the West Coast. And if the United States really wanted to, they only have to take control of those rivers, and dam them up, create electricity, and then spill all the water to wherever they want it to go. And, up here in Canada, we'd be a little hooched, effed, whatever you call it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, he did say it, girlfriend. Another step towards one small step for Canada, one giant leap.
He said it. Damn it.
There's someone out there saying, some right wings saying, how are they running out of water? I thought climate change was making the water levels rise.
Yes. That's a very good point. AstraZeneca.
It is. It's just in the wrong places. Like if in the 1980s, the United States had built a solar-powered water purification, desalination plant in California, and built another one that pumped water into Lake Mead, right? Mm-hmm. It would have cost a fortune. It would have been a tremendous infrastructure project. But if you were dumping literally thousands of gallons of water into that lake, purified ocean water, they would have kept the water levels up. They would have kept the agriculture up in that community, because the rivers that run out of there support farms. It would have made such an enormous economic impact by this time in history that the project would have paid for itself 10 times over. But again, in American government, we know that the lifespan of an infrastructure project is 4 years, typically 4 years. sometimes 8, usually 7 or less. So if you're working on an infrastructure project that's going to pay off in the long term, you're not going to get it done. You look at the basic health care. By the time that has a significant impact to anyone, the only person it's going to help is the next person in line in your political party. So, I mean, unless you had 3 politicians on one side of the table at one time, all invested in the same ideals, you're not going to get anything like that happening.
This has been my main critique of Biden, to tell you the truth. Not even the Afghanistan stuff, but this entire infrastructure deal that he's really spending all of his time on. It's like I know I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. If he just blew all of his energy on COVID, getting COVID under control, and getting DC and Puerto Rico statehood, that would have been a tangible benefit right here and right now for the Democrats and for the country. As against because let's say the infrastructure bill passes, that's great. 4 years we get Trump again. 4 years we get, or 3 years we get another Republican in. The infrastructure bill is not going to help the Democrats stay in power. And if the Democrats don't stay in power, that means we get white supremacy and fascism again.
And you know how you can tell that the Democratic administration isn't interested in what's in the best interest in the long term for the United States is you still have PACs, you still have super PACs, you still have gerrymandering, you still have voter suppression, you still have all of the things that were causes of the problem of getting the wrong people in government. But if you take away the ability for people to put the wrong people in government, then who's going to pay for them? You don't want nobody in the corporate world wants an honest politician running the country.
No, they don't. And I've had this argument with many middle of the road Democrats, and it's like, look, your policies, these middle of the road policies, these compromises, have gotten us to where we are in terms of Trump and everything. So once again, it's just we get to be Norway or we get to be Russia. It's those two choices basically, and middle of the road policies, compromising, corporate, neoliberalism, Democrats. That's going to get us to Russia. This authoritarian religious state.
Yeah, and hate the GOP as much as you want, but they did one hell of a job of putting judges in place.
Yeah. Well, they're serious. And their base, the thing is that the Republicans are much more invested in their base than we are. Yeah.
What's your opinion on this? Because I feel like it's a pipe dream, but and it's probably a very Australia-centric view as well. But I think that everyone's looking in the wrong direction with all of these things. So in Australia, we're having this debate, and I think it's happening all over the world, but we have the opportunity to actually do something about it as long as we get rid of our current government. So we have lots of little entrepreneurial businesses popping up that are based on environmental solutions.
Yeah.
For example, just to throw some out that you may know of, like the sea bin. It's a device that floats in the bin in such a manner that trash gets sucked into it and gets trapped inside, and they just come and collect it each day and empty them. That's a very small example, but thinking about the running out of water, we have technologies to transfer grey water into usable water, but it's too expensive and things like that. If we're putting money into developing these sorts of technologies, we're pumping businesses, we're solving environmental problems, it's so many birds with one stone. But
Right.
am I dreaming?
So what I'm hearing is that, and you're right. There seems to be these free market or capitalistic kind of solutions to the problems of capitalism, of and so that, and unfortunately that is probably the way that things are going to go, right? Instead of doing carbon taxes, or instead of, there might be some local agreements, like in New England. There's an agreement between New England states and other states, some other states too, about how much carbon emissions we produce. But for major countries, for large organizations or groups, it'll probably be these kind of free market or so-called free market solutions, because people always have to make a buck, because and it's more expensive in the long term, and you get closer to disaster too, like real disaster. I mean, how many people have to die because we just didn't decide to use our resources properly 20 or 30 years ago, and now we're going to have these little machines cleaning up the ocean. It's ridiculous. That's what it is. Excuse me.
Well, I think there's a couple of problems with that. Looking at that as a solution. Number one is, for the last 35 years, big oil has been. I mean, if you've ever watched the show Who Killed the Electric Car, big oil has a lot of influence in government. They also have a ton of money, and they also have a lot of people like the Koch brothers who are aligned with them. And when great technology comes out and it goes public, they make a bold move to take over the company, and they steer the company directly into the ground, and they keep the technology. And then like the Koch brothers have bought off many, many companies. I think it's up to like 37 now that were invested in solar technology. And they buried the companies, and then they sold the intelligence from the company. They sold it off to big oil. So you're looking at a situation where I think it was Obama that was talking about any technology like this is going to be released into the free market as, anything that's related to solar power, clean energy, cleaning up the oceans, that sort of thing. It's going to become public domain. Instead of after 7 years with a renewal, it was going to be 3 years. You get 3 years to make it work and make your fortune, and then it goes public, and everybody can use it, and that's how it's going to be, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And again, people who are in the mega rich, who are launching shit into space. I mean, if you want to leave a legacy on Earth, create some technology that cleans water for next to nothing and release it to the public immediately. Don't wait 3 years, right? Figure out how to create a biological solution to plastics, right? They're already finding microbes or whatever that eat plastics in the landfills. I mean, there are solutions out there to this,
I just want to touch base with what Jesse Beer said about the underground coal fire that's been burning for over 50 years. Yes, it's called the Centralia mine fire. I'm looking at it on Wikipedia right now. It is a real thing. Been burning since May 27th, 1962.
There's another one that's been burning in northern Canada for just as long.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Woo-hoo. Good times, everyone. Nothing but good news here. What's up, Wild Eden? All right, so I'm going to close down the show since it's only half an hour. It's a half an hour show today. And so show tomorrow, I'll be able to update you about whether or not I have a job tomorrow. And so, yeah, you can see us here same time tomorrow, 9 o'clock, everyone.
Thanks for giving us a voice in the community, and everybody out there, vote for someone who's going to make a change, and be the person who gets out there and makes a change. We all talk about the person who did one little thing in the past and made a huge change in the future. Let's do a bunch of little things now that are going to make a change in the future.
Exactly, especially with local elections too. local elections. They're coming up in my area, and those positions are important to everyone. All right, take care.
Vote Dr. Kennard.
Vote once, vote often.